In the 1930s, while we lived at 254 East Georgia Street, it was above a warehouse.
That's where Tong Louis grew up, East Vancouver, working for his father at the H.Y. Louis Company. Born in 1914, Tong was the second of 11 children. They had each other, and they had a work ethic that was unparalleled. And that ability to work hard gave them an edge in a society that didn't want them.
We were told by Kelly Douglas that if we sold to H.Y. Louis, we were not going to sell to Kelly Douglas.
He always looked past it. It was like, if you're going to live in this country and this is the way it is, then don't be bitter. Bitterness isn't going to get you anywhere.
Tong Louis' amazing capacity to stay focused on the goal rather than the obstacles played a big part in his success.
He was raised with the idea, there's no free lunch about this business, and you're not relieved, and you can't use any excuse. You do it. And you do it because if you don't do it, who's going to do it?
Tong's good looks, coupled with his stick-to-itiveness and superior social skills, meant that even in tough times he was able to bring in new business. He was an extraordinary visionary who never let anything stand in his way. One time he had a contract to supply sugar. No one would sell it to him. And not one to let an obstacle stop him, he went and ordered the sugar from Cuba.
But it was hard. They came through the Panama, it's sweat and the moisture and everything made up big blocks. So I went to visit a sporting goods store by the name of Hartley and Hayward. So I went in there and I saw a whole roll of bats, baseball bats. I said, how much? I like that one. How much is that? He said, $1.75. And look at it, major league caliber. So I said, I'll buy that one. So I got back. After I unloaded the sugar, I had to hit it every night, bake up the block. Oh boy, was my shoulder sore and callous on my hand. But I got the sugar in saleable form so I could sell it to the restaurants.
My father, yes, you have to remember, came from a very difficult time, and most everything in the business he did himself. So he knew how to drive trucks, and he knew how to pick orders, and he knew how to do this and that.
And he knew how to see opportunity. By the mid-1950s, he had taken over his father's company and was set to take over a huge portion of the supermarket business. He knew the days of mom-and-pop shops were numbered, so he bought into IGA and began a journey into the retail market. Then, in 1968, he saw another opportunity. Dominion Groceries was pulling out of the business in British Columbia, and Tong bought them out.
And the bank told me, no, you wouldn't lend me the money. I had a hell of a time. He says, if Dominion can't make it, what makes you think you can do it?
Eventually, he raised the money and added Dominion to his growing business. Then in 1976, he turned his sights on an entirely different retail business. He bought London Drugs, a chain of just 10 stores. For Tong, London Drugs was the launching pad he had been seeking, a sound financial company that was focused on customer service. Under his guidance, London Drugs took off.
We always say at London Drugs that pharmacy is the heart of the business. But when the Louis family came along in the mid-70s, Mr. Louis bought the company. That's when the soul of the company, I think, really came into being.
I considered Tong Louis almost like a second father in terms of the respect I had for him. Tremendous honesty. Tremendous feeling for all of his employees.
He was such a consummate gentleman, and that reflected in the company. It sort of changed its image from that old cowboy image to being more sophisticated.
In 1987, he handed over the president's role to his son Brant and accelerated his charitable activities. The list of organizations he supported included, but wasn't limited to, the YMCA, the Vancouver Symphony, Simon Fraser University, and so many more.
Money, it doesn't go to heaven, but I tell you, it certainly performs a lot of heavenly miracles on earth.
The Louis family encourages and expects their management group to give back to the community as well as they give back to the community. It's not just an obligation, it's really part of the fabric of the success of the Louis family. They care about the communities that they operate within, they care about the province, and they care about the broader base of Canada.
At the age of 84, Tong Louis passed away. thousands of people came to pay their respects to a man who was the embodiment of vision, leadership, and integrity. His legacy can be felt every day in the community and in the retail outlets that owe their beginnings to him.
The greatest growth period, the greatest foundation was established by him. So he's really the great entrepreneur and the great visionary.
I think the family value stands for integrity, for trust, and for commitment to excellence.